Today we're going to continue talking about leadership, and the person we're going to look at today is Jesus. So we are definitely talking about servant leadership, which is the model that Jesus led by. And his example was always putting others first. All right, we know he washed his disciples' feet. Well, before I can go any farther, I need to talk about someone who was my leader and who invested in my life and made a huge impact. And his name was Keith Wheeler. And Keith is an amazing man of God, and he's traveled all over the world. I can't even tell you how many hundreds of countries he's gone to and carried a cross and walked thousands and thousands of miles. And he literally goes without anything. He just, a bag full of clothes, just maybe one or two changes of clothes and his Bible and his cross. And he just believes God for a place to stay and where he's going to go and how he's going to get there. God's always opened the door for him. Keith spoke into my life many years ago when I was in Bible school, and he was talking about Jesus' method of leading and how he led, and I've never forgotten this, and it's made an impact in my life, and I'm going to share it with you today, but I have to give credit to him first because it's not mine. And even yesterday I shared about the pyramid, the upside down pyramid, and that also came from Keith. But you know what? Jesus' method was this. And I can just tell you this has been an influence in my life, not just in the way I lead, but in how I've raised my children, and how I lead our employees, and how I have friendships. So this is what Jesus did. Jesus' method was, I do, you watch. I do, you watch. Next, I do, you help. Next, you do, I help. And last, you do. All right? So that seems really simple, but let's just look at it just a little bit more. So imagine when my children were small and I started to teach them to cook. So let's say we're making pancakes. Very simple breakfast. So first time we did it, I did it, and they watched. They were so excited watching me make pancakes. But now the next time that I did it and I let them help. So maybe they dumped in the flour, or maybe they, put in the sugar. And after some time, not just the first time after they helped, but like the next time they would help, maybe I would let them crack eggs. All of you parents, you don't start by letting your children crack eggs. Cracking eggs takes practice. Yeah, you throw away the whole pancakes with shells everywhere. So the second time, they're helping. And then as they've helped more and more, then finally you move to that next level of leading, which is they're doing, but I'm helping. So maybe they're doing almost the whole recipe of making pancakes, but I'm still right there and I'm watching them. Oh, don't forget the baking powder. Yeah, we want pancakes, not crepes. And then finally, the last level is what you do. And that's what Jesus did. That's the way his whole ministry was. He did miracles, signs, wonders. He prayed for people. And then slowly, he brought the disciples in and he would say, oh, go and be with this person or go and do that. And they would do it with him. And then, they started doing things and he was still there as their backup. And then finally we know he sent them out 2 by 2, right? So that works in every area. Learning how to witness, praying for the sick. In every way, this method, the Jesus model, it works. That we don't just say, hey, I want you to go lead praise and worship, but they've never seen praise and worship. They didn't see you do it. They've never helped you do it. You're not setting people up to win. And Jesus, he was the kind of leader who always set people up to win, and not just to barely get by, but to be even better than he was. He washed his disciples' feet. It was the ultimate sign of humility. Even though he had said, you call me Lord and Master, and correctly so, because he was. But at the same time, it wasn't just about him being up here and them being down here. It was about him humbling himself. And he knew if they were ever going to understand servant leadership, he was going to have to show them. And he took off his clothes and he put on the towel and he washed their feet. In India, they have a story about baskets of crabs and how there were all these baskets of crabs, live crabs, on the train going from, the East Coast to somewhere in the central, maybe from Chennai to Hyderabad. And all the other baskets of crabs had lids on it, but there was one basket of crabs that had no lid. And the person said, why is it that basket doesn't have a lid? And the person said, oh, well, those are Indian crabs. I don't understand. Why do Indian crabs not have to have a lid? What keeps them from escaping? Like all these other crab baskets, you have lids. He said, no, with Indian crabs, when one is trying to get out, another will pull him back down. And I know some people think that's a funny story, but for me, it's so sad that we should never be that kind of person. That's not the kind of leader. We should never feel threatened that, oh no, this person is becoming a better leader than me. Oh, the church likes him better. The church likes the associate pastor better than the senior pastor. So the senior pastor feels threatened. He has to put down the associate pastor. No, we should be like Jesus. And what did Jesus say? He said, you're going to do even greater things than me. That's what he wanted. He didn't say, well, I set the standard high. Don't expect you to measure up, but just all the best. Do what you can. No, Jesus said, I'm going to give you the Holy Spirit, and the Comforter is going to be with you, and greater works than what I've done, you're going to do. So going the second mile. Let's be servant leaders, leaders who want to make other people win. Let's set them up to win, and let's lead by example. Let's show them how to do it. Let's include them in the process, and let's release them so they can also be leaders who make an impact and serve more people for God's kingdom.